pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Wilmot High School Academic Decathlon Team, come on up.
Go ahead and file all the way along here.
Split up 50-50 here. Face there you go. Just come back through here. And then face the people that way. There you go. Beautiful. Okay. Go ahead, Kim.
Good evening. Tonight we're here to celebrate the Wilmot Union High School Academic Decathlon Team. We have a proclamation here for you, and I'm going to read it off. It's a certificate of recognition presented to Wilmot Union High School Academic Decathlon Team. Whereas Kenosha County is proud of the Wilmot High School Academic Decathlon Team, who captured the 2015 Division II United States Academic Decathlon Championship at a 3-day event on April 16th to 18th in California. And whereas the United States Academic Decathlon is the 10-event scholastic competition for teams of high school students covering art, mathematics, economics, music, essay, science, interview, social science, language and literature, and speech. And whereas the team led by Coach Don Sirkowski includes honored members Carly Bonke, did I get that right? Banky, sorry. Carl Simmons and Alyssa Gregory, scholastic members Joey Burba, Johnny Weber, and Angela Schumacher, and varsity members Althea Dissy, Mason Nindle, and Ashley Dabbs. And whereas Carly, I'm going to blow it again. Banky, there we go. Carl Simmons, Joey Burba, and Johnny Weber were recognized as members of the all-national team for their top scores overall in the 10 academic events for which they each earned scholarships. And whereas individual gold medals went to Angela Schumacher in essay, Joey Burba in music, art, economics, and science, Carl Simmons in art, Johnny Weber in literature and science, and Carly Banky in economics and social science. And whereas the Wilmot Union High School Academic Decathlon Team's accomplishments and winning attitude are a source of pride not only for their family and their school, but for the entire Kenosha County community. Now, therefore, we, Jim Kruger, Kenosha County Executive, and Edward Kubicki, County Board Chairman, together with the County Board of Supervisors, do hereby present the Certificate of Recognition to the Wilmot Union High School Academic Decathlon Team in recognition and appreciation of their hard work and determination in capturing the Division II National Championship at the United States Academic Decathlon. We are extremely proud of their achievements and are honored to claim them as true and model representatives of our community. Given this second day of June 2015, signed by Jim Kruger, Kenosha County Executive, and Edward Kubicki, Kenosha County Board Chairman. Thank you. I'll let you do the next part.
I just want to say congratulations to everyone. Coach, you want to say something?
Sure.
Come on up here.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I'm going to have all of them introduce themselves. Oh, it moves. All right. There are also 3 alternates on the team, and 2 of them are here right now. So why don't you come on up and state your name?
Hello, my name's Alyssa Gregory.
Cool.
Ashley Dabbs. Claudia Baker.
Carl Simmons. Gal Gastrova. Johnny Weber. Joey Burba.
Carly Banky.
There they are. We're missing Mason Nindle and Angela Schumacher. And Althea Dissy, who's had her. And Alexa Lewis. There we go. Okay. I like to say that I get to coach these incredible young people who put 11 months of hard work in, copious amounts of hours, and it's not just studying for tests, it's speech, interviews, essay, and they really have to do it as a team for us to advance and to win the national championship. Last year, we were second in the nation, they took me to Hawaii. So I really like that they study hard. And next year, if they study hard enough, we win the state title, we get to go to Alaska. The year after that's Madison, so we're hoping that that will continue, especially me, because I'll be here the whole time. We have 1 senior leaving. I want to talk about Johnny Weber there. He was the top scholastic scorer in the nation in Division II, so he leaves like we'd all like to leave in life, on top. So congratulations to Johnny. Also at the scholastic level, right behind him was Joey Burba, a junior who will be returning, so he was second in the nation in his division. Third in the nation in the honors division, with the second highest score our school has ever had, Mr. Carl Simmons. Carl won $500. Joey $750, and Johnny $1,000 scholarships at that competition alone. And finally, the leading scorer in our school's history in the nation in Divisions 2 and 3. She got $1,000 for that, $250 for being the team MVP voted by her peers, $250 for being the top scorer from our school, and another $250 that nobody knows about because she was the highest scorer in the nation, tied for the economics test, which is super hard, Miss Carly Banky. I'm a Kenosha native. I'll tell you, this means a lot to us. Thank you for having us here and recognizing these great, wonderful young people who really truly work hard and embody what you would like to see in any student. It's really fun to have academics be competitive. So this year was innovations in technology. Last year was World War I in depth, and next year is India. But we're looking forward to it. Thank you again.
Certificates for each individual person in your team and yourself also.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hallman hit his button at his prison.
Supervisor Hallman, could you press your present button, please? We'll move on to citizen comments. Citizen comments. Citizen comments, you have 5 minutes to speak. Could you say your name and address for the record, please?
Thank you. Dave Campion, 11303 232nd Avenue in Trevor. I'm a township supervisor for the town of Salem, and I just wanted to give a little bit of an update to what's happening in the town. We recently approved, and it's out for bonding, on $1.5 million in resurfacing of roads. That's the third year in a row. The previous 2 years, it was a total of $3 million, so we continue to build on our infrastructure. We're also in the second year of a 10-year project of redoing our wastewater treatment plant. So we're continuing on and investing into our town. The next item I wanted to bring to your attention, I want to thank everyone for pushing this forward with us, and that is the agreement with CABA to have the Salem Business Park on Highway C. That is continuing to move forward. We're going through some paperwork on getting the TIF district established. We have not come across any issues or any problems, so things are moving smoothly. And we're hoping to get it done sooner than later because we want to start turning some soil over. So I want to thank you very much for your time. Good evening.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Anybody else wishing to speak? Anybody else? Citizen comments is closed. Move on to announcements of the chair. I'd like to take this time to welcome Ashley Dobbs, our Youth and Governance member, over to my right, your left. She's with us this evening for our meeting. I'd also like to take this time to congratulate Bernie Vosh on his distinguished 33 years with Kenosha County, and I wish him well in his retirement. We'll move on to supervisor reports. Supervisor Everman, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a very proud Wilmot High School graduate this evening. That is just amazing when you see national champions. I know last year they were second, and I was amazed reading and following them in the Kenosha News, and then to see what they accomplished. That's phenomenal. A couple of things from Highway Parks, Golf, and Facilities this evening that I've reported on. The railroad crossing at Highway S, which is 142 when you come off the freeway. I know I've reported that we have had trouble with the railroad having them do anything with that crossing. We had to come to the county board for a resolution. We had to send that to the railroad commissioner. Finally, they didn't come forward on their own here. They were forced by the railroad commissioner. That work is going to be done. And if you've traveled that, it's just amazing. Thank you to the commissioner. It's a darn shame that we have to go that far. In parks, the grants have been submitted for further work on the KD Park and the KD addition. The knowledge of how we do on those will be more than likely in July. We are looking to enhance some bike trails. We are looking to enhance parking, a handicapped fishing pier, a boat launch for our first responders and our rescue squads to practice. And so there's a whole lot going on there with some public-private partnerships that are going to be announced. Also in parks, we've got two big retirements on the horizon with our supervisor of the Parks Department and of our Highway Department. What we've done and put in the budget this past year, which we all voted on, was to hire people to work with them and to learn our procedures and to not be a last-minute situation. So in parks, we have had a hire, a phenomenal person that's going to be introduced here, going to start within the next 3 weeks, I believe, work with Mr. Rudy for a year, and we're very pleased with, and I'm sure you will all be very pleased when you see the resume and meet the person. Highways, we are very close on that one also. An offer has been made, but naturally the employment of the person right now is utmost privacy, and so we have no announcements on either as far as names and things, but I want to let you know where we were. We all saw this in the budget. Brookside, another thing that we all looked at very seriously last year and in the fall. The plans are progressing, and everything is on schedule for that. One of the big things I wanted to bring up, and it's a little bit of a surprise, and I think some of you will be very surprised. The golf courses have done well the last 3 years and have put themselves in the black and are performing to a plan that they've stuck to. One of the cogs in that plan has been the use of the work crew. The work crew that are low danger type people that are sentenced and put into facilities, and they go out on the work crew and work. Golf course has been a big thing. Parks has been a little bit less. So last night, and earlier in the week, but last night the committee was told, each year the last 3 years, the work crew has performed 12,000, this is an average, 12,920 hours at the golf courses. Our golf courses have won rave reviews because of the work we've done in opening up airspace and all these different things. And I've got all the duties that they performed. So in order to duplicate that, we would need 8 employees. 8 employees would cost $175,000. Right now, we're okay. They're working on some alternatives, but this is going to be a big deal. And Mr. Arbor has talked to the sheriff. He has a meeting set up with the judges because what has happened is a good thing, but there's alternative sentencing that's going on. And many of the people that are low danger people that would go onto a work crew situation are now not available for a work crew because they're not there. They're either on a bracelet or they're, doing something different rather than incarceration. So we're looking at something that is a very good thing for society, but a very bad thing for the golf courses this season because that's a big hole. That's a whole lot of labor to fill. You would look at 8 full-time seasonal to replace that. The parks, that's a little bit different, not as critical. It's not I just want to make everybody aware, and Mr. Arbor and the sheriff have had discussions, and Mr. Arbor wants to make the judges very aware of this also, and to see, where we're headed with this. I thought that would just be interesting information because it came really out of the blue, but not to the golf course people. The highways, again, I just mentioned the big thing there was the Highway S. We also have a couple of major construction projects going to happen. One of them is on, I'm trying to think of that street. What is it right next to Parkside there? E, on Highway E. We have a bridge that's going to be replaced that's been there since like 1920. And speed limits there, and we've talked to Summers about this, are going to be reduced to 40 miles an hour. That is enabling us to build a bridge that has a little bit different structure. So it's a 5 mile an hour change. Summers is on board with it, and we have the construction planned where it won't be during the school season there, and naturally there's going to be many, many detours. So, brief report from last evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Elverin, for that report. Any other supervisors wish to report tonight? Okay, we'll move on to old business. County Clerk.
Resolution 7 from Public Works Facility Committee, a resolution recognizing Bike to Work Week. Brunig, yes. O'Day, yes. And Kubicki, yes. There's some more, sorry. There's another page. Must be Tuesday. Alverman, yes. Grady, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Skalitsky, yes. Poole, yes.
I'm going to defer this resolution to the maker of the resolutions, Supervisor Blau.
I move resolution number 7.
Resolution number 7's been moved by Supervisor Blau, seconded by Supervisor Alverman. Supervisor Blau.
Thank you, Chairman Kubicki, and thank you to the Public Works Committee for reviewing my resolution. Some of you may know that next week, June 6th through the 13th, is Wisconsin Bike Week. Bike to Work Week was originally established in 1956 by the League of American Bicyclists as part of National Bike to Work Month. This event provides a chance to showcase the health, economic, and environmental benefits of cycling and encourage more folks to give biking a try. I wanted to recognize Bike to Work Week here in Kenosha County because biking is something that we have all done at one point in our life, and maybe some of us still do. Just about all of us in our room have ridden a bicycle at some point in our lives. Cycling is inexpensive, it's good for your health, good for the environment, and it's fun. This year, the League of American Bicyclists ranked Wisconsin 9th out of 50 U.S. states in its ranking of bicycle-friendly states. The rankings are based on a range of criteria that reward areas such as new policies, advocacy, legal protections, and infrastructure. Unfortunately, this was a drop from number 3 of last year. So this is making it all more important for Kenosha County to recognize the potential that biking can bring to our county and to the state of Wisconsin. I'd like to see that ranking get back up there. Kenosha County recognizes the health, economic, and environmental benefits of biking and is celebrating Bike to Work Week by encouraging Kenosha County residents to participate. Next week, we're going to have a Bike to Work Week contest for Kenosha County residents only. And every time you ride your bike to work, you can submit an entry on the Kenosha County website for a prize drawing that will be done towards the end of the week. And I've been told that there's some pretty nice prizes on there too, massage, bike helmets. So I think it's really worth it to give it a try. If not, maybe it'll start a really good habit of riding your bicycle to work, if you can. In addition to Bike to Work Week, Kenosha County, along with the Kenosha Bicycle Ambassadors, the Kenosha Multi-Use Trail Committee, and Expose Kenosha is sponsoring other events later on this month. The Dairy Air Dairy Breakfast Ride is on Saturday, June 20th. That's being sponsored by County Executive Jim Cruiser. The Civic Veterans Day Parade, which is Sunday, June 28th. For the first time, we're going to have a group of bicyclists ride in the parade. The theme of the parade is celebrating our heroes, so all of the cyclists, a lot of them are going to be kids, they're all going to decorate their bikes and dress up as their own superhero. And then there's also the Bike Public Art Project, which is on Saturday, July 11th, during second Saturdays. They're decorating bikes as well, and they're auctioning off these bikes to help benefit the County of Kenosha. So please join me in supporting this recognition of Bike to Work Week. It's a great way for Kenosha County to encourage healthy and safe transportation alternatives and safe bicycle riding across the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Blau. Seeing no lights, this is a simple majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. County Clerk.
Supervisor Comments. Supervisor Hallman, racial discrimination against African Americans in Kenosha County.
Supervisor Hallman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As public servants, we endeavor to do good. We endeavor to make it more than just a campaign aspiration. We endeavor to take our best thoughts, ideas, and plans and convert them into actions that change reality for our community. At our very best, that's what we endeavor to do. But when I consider the recent events that have occurred in Ferguson, Madison, Milwaukee, Cleveland, New York, the state of South Carolina, the state of Oklahoma, the city of Los Angeles, and the city of Baltimore, I'm forced to evaluate my home. I'm forced to evaluate Kenosha. And the only way that I can express this, words fail me. To say that I'm heartbroken to come to the conclusion that Kenosha is just as vulnerable is a gross understatement. The failure to address subconscious discrimination on the basis of race is an American failure. And the underlying cause of the shootings of unarmed African Americans is due to the built-in racial bias and racial discrimination in federal, state, and local policies. The communities and states I've mentioned are a living testimony to that fact. Kenosha is no different, and this realization should not give us comfort. It should also not give us an excuse for inaction. So being the fact that we are public servants who strive to do good, who are tasked with the calling to do better, if we're going to respond to that calling, it means that we have to listen to the things that make us uncomfortable and see the things that we wish to turn away from. So there's a few things that in working with all of you that I feel like you need to know about the community that you live in. Because this is not a burden that I intend to carry alone, and nor is it one that I'm going to keep silent about. A few months back, the director of our Kenosha County DCFS came to Human Services Committee, the committee that I'm privileged enough to chair, and mentioned as part of his report, without me asking, that Black children were overrepresented in the foster care system. When I asked him why, after the meeting, the response that I was given is, well, you know there are mental health issues in the African American community. So on my walk home, my first thought was, okay, that may be so, but no more, no less than in any other community. Not all the Black folks are crazy. And it is very difficult for me to hear him say that when I have had Black mothers who have come to me who have said that they have complied with the demands of the social worker and that the social worker has lied on them in court and has increasingly put more restrictions on them, preventing them from getting their kids back, which means our government is breaking up families, Black families, and that should not happen. I've read news stories about Black children being reprimanded and suspended from school for having afros and braids. The teachers all seem to claim the same thing: the hair is a distraction. So imagine my outrage in my own home community, where I know the chancellor of UW-Parkside, the president of Gateway, the president of Carthage, the mayor, all of you, and several other people. And a young man who receives a scholarship, who's on a football team, who has braids, Black male, holds up his braid and says, quote, "Y'all know these can be a problem in school." Black hair is not a distraction, nor should children be reprimanded for it, certainly not in the community that I live in. That shouldn't happen. Every year we have a community juvenile justice report that's going to be coming up sometime this summer, I believe in July. We have our county judges and community service providers and county staff all in one room to give ourselves a pat on the back. It's a Kenosha County victory lap to say we're doing a great job. And every year I hear our county staff say the exact same thing. Children of color are overrepresented in the data set. And we move on like that's normal, like that's okay, like it should be that way, and that we have no responsibility for it when we're the ones running the system. So imagine the depth of my horror when I read a Sanford psychological study of teachers that says that on the basis of names, on the first offense, according to race, the discipline is even. On the second offense, on the basis of race, if your name is Jim, you're not reprimanded that harshly. If your name is Jamal, they quadruple down on the discipline. We control the flow of young people in the school to prison pipeline. We do that. Our $200 million government. That should not happen. All 8 of our county circuit court judges and the DA will tell you, as they've said to me, without me prompting or asking, they'll say there are sentencing disparities between African Americans and white people. So imagine the trauma when I pick up the newspaper and see a Black juvenile that's tried as an adult. Granted, the kid committed murder, and I'm not excusing that. But you try him as an adult. In a case where a police officer admits on the witness stand in open court that he planted evidence at the scene. How am I supposed to have confidence in my government or my justice system? You really can't. And the statistics nationwide show that children of color are much more likely to be charged as an adult. In the community I live in, that should not happen. Our county board authorizes local, state, and federal money to our sheriff's department to do drug enforcement. And in communities all across the U.S. and in Kenosha, areas that are heavily populated with Black and Latino people experience drug raids on the basis of the biased assumption that people of color, namely African American, do more drugs than white people. The federal data doesn't support that. The federal data on drug usage illustrates that the rates of drug usage between virtually all races are the same. But our county board has made no effort to examine where we're doing drug monitoring or enforcement, what's confiscated in those raids, or the demographics of the persons involved. But apparently we care more about the money in the drug forfeiture fund and what's being done with that, but not the actual people. And if you want further detail on that, I would strongly suggest, and I know somebody's getting mad at me for this, Google the Fourth Amendment War on Drugs Forfeiture Fund. And then tell me if you can sleep. Tell me if you're okay taking that vote. Because the vast majority of you voted yes. I have on numerous occasions through this body asked CABA to tell us not just the size of the investment that a business is making in this community, but how many people were hired. How many came from Kenosha? How many were our folks? How many were women? We believe in stable households, realizing that expenditures exceed what people are being paid, that we have to have two parents working to support a family, whether it's two females, two males, whatever the cohabitation arrangement is. How many women were hired? How many were Black or Latino? How many were between the ages of 18 and 35, so that in our community, we can effectively address the issue of young adult employment and brain gain in our community? In other words, we're not like the other 71 counties. We've got 2 colleges, they're producing people with degrees, and they're staying in this community, and they're having difficulty seeking employment. I've asked for this information in email. I went in person to the finance committee, and here on the county board floor. It got so bad that as Todd Battle stood over there, I actually said, we are Kenosha County, we have the I-94 in our borders, there is no reason we should have a sign that says welcome sweatshops. Why would I make such a statement? Because as we, the county board, signed over $500,000, million here, $1.5 million to CABA for their operations and the businesses that they recruited to come here, those businesses were using staffing agencies. And those staffing agencies that were doing the hiring for those businesses, if you were Black and you came in and there was someone behind the desk who was Latino, they would tell you the job was closed. Because they had given the job to someone who was not a legal citizen, who was then being mistreated in the workplace and not being paid at least the legal minimum wage. So you had an employer doing, dare I use this phrase, a divide and conquer on our own people. But we kept signing over checks. And so when I came to all of you and said this was a problem, we should do something about it, no one backed me up. You looked at the glossy pictures and the magazines were put in front of you and said, CABA's doing a great job, let's keep this rolling. So I decided the best way to combat that was to have a town hall on employment discrimination. I brought in the US EEOC and the State Department of Wisconsin's Workforce Development Civil Rights Division, because I thought it would be smart to at least empower the people who live in our districts, whether they're Black, Latino, whatever, that if there is an issue of employment discrimination, to understand the tools they had under the law to confront and to actually get justice so they weren't mistreated. On a more personal level, when I moved to this community and had a vehicle that was working consistently, I was subject to weekly traffic stops by the police for no reason. It was so bad that my white friends in college said, "We're not going to let you drive anymore. From now on, you're riding with us." I remember in the first year of being on the county board, shortly after we had taken the vote on the expansion of the public safety building, I was detained outside my house for 45 minutes by 2 officers who rolled up as I was getting my mail coming home from work, saying someone was looking for me. I said, anybody who needs to find me knows where I am. They've got my number, they've got my address. I didn't bother to tell them I was a county supervisor because it should be irrelevant. They refused to let me go in and lay down, even though I said I was tired, and decided to radio the station to see who it was that was looking for me. And as I continued to say, "I'm tired, if you need me, you know where to find me, I'm not going anywhere," one of the officers out of the pair was insistent that I had a criminal record. And when I stood there very calmly on my porch and told him, "You can look, but you won't find anything," he only became more irate. I know there's a number of you that like to eat at a local establishment very near to this building, which, for the purposes of public embarrassment, I will spare them of. Mr. Chairman, you gave me an invite during the first year of your time as chairman to meet and to socialize and to get to know my fellow county colleagues better. I took you up on that offer. I was maybe 5 or 10 minutes behind you, but as I approached the building, the security guard stopped me and asked me, "Do you have a reservation?" I said, "No," and before I could get out, "I'm here with some people from work." He said, "Then you can't go in." But yet I see the cars of my fellow electeds, all of whom who are white and who are much older, who presumably were allowed to enter without the need of being asked whether or not they had a reservation. I did a ride-along with a deputy sheriff a few years back. And as our deputies tend to do, they patrol Kemper Center. We rolled up next to a bunch of kids on bikes, and the deputy asked the kids, he said, "How are you all doing?" And they said, "Good." One boy, who was probably around the age of 12, looked at me sitting in the front passenger seat, looked at the sheriff's deputy, and said, "Shouldn't he be in the back?" So this points to the precise insanity of institutional racism, is that our children have been indoctrinated into thinking that black skin equals criminal. So much so that the boy thought to question the deputy's logic about allowing a young black male to sit in the front passenger seat. Those children become adults. Those adults become everything from janitors to corporate CEOs. Some even become county board supervisors. And I could say more about that, but I'll spare this body further public embarrassment by not going down that rabbit hole unless a circumstance arises where I see fit to make more of that known. Some become department heads. As I recall, I had a meeting with a particular department, again, sparing them the public embarrassment, I won't say the name. I arrived slightly ahead of my scheduled time for the meeting and announced who I was. And they said, "No, you're not a county supervisor." I said, "Yes, I am." They said, "No, you're not." And finally, I looked at the staff and said, "Would I really come to you and claim to be a county supervisor when a good portion of this community doesn't really pay attention to what the county board does?" And I instructed them, I said, "Check the website." They brought it up, they saw the photo, and then they started singing a different tune. "Oh, Supervisor Hallman, we're so glad you're here." So what's my point by telling you all of this? I know all of you quite well. I know my community quite well. I'm heartbroken that my community allows these things to happen. I'm heartbroken that my government allows, enables, and commits these acts. I'm heartbroken that my fellow county supervisors have seemed to be indifferent to this kind of behavior. I want to believe all of you are better than this. I want to believe that my government is better than this. But I have very, very little hope. and it is quickly and routinely being crushed by the weight of the daily reality of what it means to be black in America. All of you are elected officials. You govern with the consent of the governed. That means a relationship must be present, one of trust, communication, understanding, and love. It does not assume inherent discord and chaos, but it does suggest a striving to understand and to be whole, e pluribus unum, which means out of many, one, but the reality is philosophically, it means to be made whole, listening to all corners, understanding, believing, and moving forward. You take an oath of office where you're sworn to guard against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We all know who the foreign enemy is. The news will make you aware of that. And I suppose if you believe everything you see on the news, then you know who the domestic enemy is because they want you to believe it's me. So by allowing these things to continue by default, you have made government, federal, state, and local the enemy of people of color. And the Supreme Court is very much the enemy as well. It is not just a legislative matter. When I was running for assembly, I met a little girl. She was probably 8, just off of the northeast corner of Lincoln Park, maybe about a block and a half to 2 blocks away. And I told them I was running, and those kids got excited. And I asked them, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Little girl was Latina. She said, I want to be a lawyer. And I asked her why. She said, because I want to help people. And I said, well, you know, that's a lot of school. It's very expensive, but I think you can do it. How about you be a judge? We've got 8 judges. We've got a woman leading our judiciary. I don't think we've ever had a person of color on our county judiciary. How about you be the first one? And her eyes got bigger than the tires on your car. That's the future you all proclaim to believe in and work towards. So I have a difficult time justifying how you believe that and allow these things in this community to go on. If you are people who proclaim that the future, that our today is not yesterday and that our tomorrow is not today, that there is a sense of renewal of possibility, then indifference and neutrality are the nail in the coffin that kill that sense of possibility. There's a quote from Desmond Tutu that says, if the elephant has its foot on the tail of the mouse and you say you're neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. If you're neutral in situations of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. So I came to you tonight to say that if you're really serious and that you don't want to see your community have a long, hot summer, a freezing cold winter, and then another long, hot summer, and you don't want it to resemble Ferguson or Madison or Milwaukee or Cleveland or the city of New York or the state of South Carolina, the state of Oklahoma, the city of Los Angeles, or the city of Baltimore, then this community needs to know you're committed. I have about a dozen resolutions. They are meant to be serious fixes to a multifaceted problem. Some of them will be easy votes for you. Others will be extremely difficult. And in addition, I'll say this personally, I want something other than just votes. Because I've seen things enacted into law where then simply the system just becomes a chameleon and changes itself and allows injustice to perpetuate itself, creating the same outcome. So I want something deeper. So at some point this summer, expect that to drop in your email, and I'll give you a heads up when that's going to occur. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Rowan. Okay, County Clerk.
Approval of the May 19th and May 21st, 2015 minutes by Supervisor Rose.
Supervisor Rose.
I move the approval of the minutes of May 19th and 21st.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Skalitsky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved by Supervisor Rose. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Dodge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you. Have a good night. What we're going to do.